It is our first basketball player profile of the season, and we are joined from Salem senior Abbie Davidson. Abbie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations, #1 in the season, leading things off. No pressure at all. I feel like the first thing we should start with is your first home game. What did that feel like? What were some of the emotions going through your head when you walked out on the court and you realized, like, this is it, this is your last ride?
Right. There was a lot of emotion from like the good and the bad, and just walking out on the court and like seeing the stands compared to this year, compared to last year. Like, just the support from the community was unbelievable. Like, we knew it was going to be a good turnout coming from like how far we made it last season, and so there was just a lot of emotions. But after we got the first jitters out, it was good.
Like you said, you made it far last season. Talk about this off season, the summer with these girls, and how hungry this program was to stay where they were last year and try to get another shot at the regional championship.
Right. So over the summer, there was we went to Sherridsville and we went to Cedar Point, and there were some things like, even personally, that I was like, wow, this is mentally strong. Like, this is tough. And we just knew we lost 5 seniors that contributed a lot to our team. And we just had some young girls who are now juniors that knew they had to step up and play their role. And a lot of it just took a lot of leadership from myself and the other 2 seniors. And we just knew what we had to get into their heads and teach them about the game, like mentally and physically.
All right, what were some things that you kind of got started right from the jump with those new players, the new faces on the varsity team? What were some of the first things that you thought they had to kind of learn and be prepared for on the varsity level?
Just the urgency we need. Coach Hamilton holds us to a really high standard. Like, for example, last night we beat Alliance by 30, but still at the end of the game, there was just like, it wasn't like, great, good job, girls. Like, there was just still so many like things that we needed to work on. And she was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, this is just the standard we hold you at. And it was tough at first. At first I was like, this is going to be a lot of work, but they really just improved and showed us, like, they just stepped up and knew what we needed from them.
How has being coached like that and being held to that high standard and not being okay with a 30-point victory helped you, not just in basketball, but I'm sure like in everything else that you do in life, being, really high standards and setting the bar high for yourself?
Right. It honestly started just growing up, like a big family. My parents always held me to a high standard, and along with my other siblings. So once Coach came in here and set the standard, it wasn't anything I didn't expect from her. She's a great coach. She's a great person off the court too. So I knew what to expect from her. And sometimes I'm like, wow, this is a little bit more than I would have expected. But as you can tell from last year, it took us a long way. So honestly, after one of our scrimmages, Coach and I had a talk, and she was like, what could we possibly do better? And I was like, we need to be more disciplined. And like, there's always room for discipline. So there's nothing better than to have a coach like that and a team to be disciplined.
What about like you going into your senior leadership year and being a senior leader and trying to balance, holding those girls to a high standard that are below you, but also, having a little bit of fun with your senior season and letting loose a little bit. How have you balanced that? Because you gotta have your last ride, but you also do want to be disciplined and do want to be a good senior leader.
Right. So it started off just like the season, like we just did simple things. Like, we were like, all right, let's get these crazy team shoes, and just like simple stuff like that. And at practices, that is something we also like harp on here at Salem, like just energy and the culture and stuff like that, just to, like, have fun. Like, some of our practice film is just crazy, and there'll be days like, if we have a really good practice, we'll have some fun at practice for like 30 minutes or something, just to even things out. It can't always be like full go all the time, because as student athletes we get mentally drained and stuff like that. So we just do a lot of little team stuff, like team Thanksgiving. We'll all cook a dinner. Gosh, that's crazy, but yeah, just little activities. That's how we balance it.
You opened the door. What did you cook for Thanksgiving? What was your dinner that you had responsibility for?
Nothing. And I would have to say last year it turned out a lot better than this year. We were eating like literally just hardened bread this year. It was so bad, but
Last year, we talked to you a lot about your knee coming off the injury and trusting yourself with it. What does it feel like this year to kind of be a little bit more healthy coming into the season and not having to really worry about that mental block anymore?
Right. So I was trying to tell my parents and both my soccer and Coach Hamilton all year. I was like, I'm ready to go. I've strengthened my knee. Like everything's good to go. And they're like, man, that leg's valuable. Like we can't be risking it. Like just stay in the brace. And so literally the day of our first game, I went back up to Dr. Joseph and I was like, I'm practicing without it. Like I feel great. At this point, I just feel like it's holding me back. And he was like, I mean, your leg looks great. Like you're all strengthened and everything. And so first game we came out against Talent. I was nervous. I was like, great, watch I hurt my leg or something. But come second game, third game, my confidence is just right back up. And I went home after the game last night. I was talking to my dad. I was like, it is crazy how much more I feel like I can move without that thing on my leg.
Do you think the brace was a little bit of a mental block? Like you have that thing always reminding you that your knee is weak, so you kind of feeling like it is, even though it's not?
Right. And even like I just felt like I couldn't do as much. And coach would always tell me, they can't stop you, Abby, they can't stop you. But it's just like, it was so mental. Like there was games where like, I'd be like, man, I don't even want to play right now because like my leg, I just couldn't move. I couldn't play defense as good as I know I can. I couldn't like make moves to the basket as fast as I could. And so it's just like, I feel so much more relief now that it's off.
Came off a game last night, so we can use this as a little bit of a post-game interview too. I mean, 17 points led the team. What was working so well for you last night?
Honestly, I have to give it to my teammates. I mean, we all busted our butts and just defense. Our transition game was really good last night, and that's something we like harp on this year. We're more of an offensive team this year, but obviously we still focus on defense. That's just our culture here. But I'd have to give it to them. They really just like movement. There was a lot of unselfishness last night in the game, and just the physicality. Like all week in practice, we've been working on contact and stuff like that. So just going up against some bigger girls, I knew I had to get contact in there. Got a couple and ones. So that was
How in
it.
the world do you guys one up the defense that you guys played last year? That's the big question because it was record-breaking performances. I
Right.
mean, how do you one up that?
Right. It's a good question. Last year, the girls we lost, they were all around good players, but a lot of their roles was defensively. Like we lost Abbie Perry, one of the best defensive players to come through Salem High School. But Riley Hutton knew she had to step up and take that role this year. And Cami Rome just in the paint. I don't think anybody's getting to the hoop with her in there. And then we just have a lot of offensive ball play, like good players off the ball. Like for example, like I'm more of a help side player, so. And at first, like during our scrimmages and stuff, we were like, all right, we got to get this defense down. And one of our coaches, you probably know George Spack, he harps on defense all the time. So just our speed, I think, really helps us with our defensive game.
You brought up Cammy, and I'm sure you have to go up against her in practice every now and then. I mean, like you look at her, and the size is not like daunting, but the blocking
Right.
ability is there, and the numbers are there. What makes her such a hard defender to go up against?
Just her heart and her urgency to like be the best she can. In practice when we're going against each other, I'm like, oh great. We always look at each other and we're like enemies. Here we go. But honestly, it's the biggest privilege for me because now I have to figure out how, like, even then when I go against somebody in a game, it's a lot easier. And she's just great to have in practice and all. But I don't know, she uses her length, that's for sure.
I'm gonna give you a chance to be a little bit of competitiveness inside your squad. Like, who's got the edge when you guys are going up against each other? Who's had the edge in the last couple years?
Riley and I really bring the best out of in each other. Like truly, we go at it. But we have Kaylee Carlisle. She's battling 24/7. No matter if she's on the ground, she gets right back up. And I would have to give it to Cammy too. It's usually me, Cammy, and Rye. We go at it pretty good, and we just bring the best out of each other.
You know, one of the hallmarks of the Salem team, even before last year, for a long time, has been having someone on the floor that was a spark plug or an energy maker, someone that always got you guys up. Last year, it felt like it was always Jenna McClish, right? So this year, who's that spark plug for you guys that is always making sure that the energy and the excitement is up, whether it's on the bench or on the floor?
Right. Absolutely has to go to Zoe Reed. I actually said to my parents last night, my mom was saying how she really stepped up last night and did good in the game. And I said, Mom, she's one of the best teammates I've ever had. Like, she just all around, always making sure you're okay. I mean, sometimes I get down in practice, but as a leader, I try to compose myself a little bit, but I'm still human, so I get down, and she is always right there to pick me up. She's just all around such a good teammate.
Okay, so we talked about some of the things that blocked you mentally as a player, as the knee thing. What about as an athlete, as a student? Excuse me. What are some of the subjects that really you have to work mentally to get through? The hardest subjects in school.
So right now I do college credit plus classes. I do college writing 1 at Kent and an art class. And my college writing class is just really getting to me. I mean, through the week, I'm just constantly doing little by little. And then come Saturday, we usually have early practices like 7, around that time. So I have the rest of the day to figure out my schoolwork because everything's due on Sundays. And then if we have like a game or something, I'll usually just take my Saturday night and do my schoolwork.
What's the hardest thing for you to write? Is it essays? Is it research papers? Creative writing? What gives you the most trouble?
Well, right now, we actually haven't had a paper in our college writing class that hasn't been like political. Like everything's so political, but so that's definitely the hardest part is like, okay, do I side with this or
Which one do you have the best time at? What's some of your favorite ones that you know you're good at, and I don't want to say you don't have to try as hard, but it comes a little bit easier, natural to you.
Definitely like research papers. I love like learning new things, and I just love like figuring out facts and stuff like that. And then I can put my opinion into it as well. So those are my favorite ones.
All right, with senior season, we have to talk about your future goals. We never want to see you go, but it's going to happen eventually. What kind of things do you see after Salem? See yourself doing?
I really want to go play college ball. I just haven't decided where yet. Just the distance is something that's in my head. Like coming from a big family, it's going to be really hard to leave home. So if I could just get somewhere closer, my dream is to play at YSU. I love the culture. I follow a lot of things they do, and just those girls, their bond, I can tell is really close. But there's a couple teams in like West Virginia and stuff that I've been talking to. So, and Cammie as well, actually. So that would be fun. I told Cammie, I said, if you go, I'll go.
If you go.
But and then for the education part, I think I want to go into dermatology.
It's a package deal, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're recruiting Abbie Davidson, you got to recruit Cammie Rome as
Right.
well. There's a certain rival that committed to YSU.
Yeah.
That's something to watch out for too. When you look at programs and we're looking for coaches, what kind of coaches do you think would really spark your interest? What would you look for in a college coach in a college program?
Just the program overall, just like the bond of the girls, and if they're interacted with each other. Like I don't want to go to a team that's like everybody's kind of separated and we're just teammates when we're on the court. Like I want to be close off the court, and I can just tell from like the YSU girls just following them and stuff like that they're not like that. And then for like a coach, I look for somebody that's in like culture, like they want to deal with the culture of the team and just like team bonding and stuff like that, not just basketball 24/7, because chemistry, I believe, really does come from off the court.
Did you say dental hygienist?
What?
When you wanted the career path you wanted to go, did you say dental or did you say dermatology? I couldn't remember which one you said.
I said dermatology.
Dermatology. It was if it was dental hygiene, I was gonna ask what makes you want to put your hands in other people's mouth, because that takes a special person. But obviously it was dermatology. But what kind of things sparked that interest? What made you want to be like a dermatologist and want to deal with skin?
Really just like there's so much about our skin and our body that we don't know as humans, and we're all just living through it and trying to do all these different skincare routines and stuff like that. And so just as a teenager, like as a girl, we all want clear skin and stuff like that. So then I just started doing a bunch of like research on all types of things, and I was like, wow, I really like enjoy this.
All right, Abbie, thank you so much for taking the time today. We wish you the best of luck the rest of your senior season. We know you're going to do great. We look forward to covering you all year, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for having me.